I bet you felt on cloud 9 after that.
Yeah, it was all happened so quickly. I was like, what were you thinking? So I'm like, because I do a bit of coaching sometimes with like individuals. Now, what were you thinking that kick at that time? How did you? I was like, well, it's not thinking.
It's not thinking.
It's pure instinct.
Man, I suppose like I want to get into this straight away. First of all, I'm grateful to have you on the first episode of 2026. I've obviously I watched you growing up, and like you did, I believe, if I get it right, do you have 254 games at Cardiff?
I think that was the record. I ended up getting 261.
261
in the end.
Wikipedia lied to me.
No, I only know that because at the time when I finished, I didn't really. Everyone was saying you'll appreciate when you leave Cardiff, and they were right at the time. As you know, you're worried about the next game.
Yeah.
And although it was great at the time, you were just focused on what's next. And I think since leaving, I'm like, oh God, I appreciate what I did there.
Appreciate it more. So you're the most capped Cardiff Blues player, is that right?
At the moment, yeah. I overtook. I don't think I know. I overtook Fau Felice, who was.
Really?
I mean, the impressive thing about Fau though is he signed for the club at 29.
Wow.
he got I think 53 games he played for Cardiff. So
you must, when you're doing something like that though, in those numbers, were you injury prone at all then?
I had a few nasty injuries at the start of my career with my shoulders.
Yeah.
And which set me around that 20s, that age grade kind of period, which I think is like a big couple of years because at the years you really you need to be playing and want to play and show what you can do. So I had a few injuries then, and but fortunately I got on top of them, and I was okay. I went through long periods without them.
Now listen, and one thing I want to ask you, and it's something I always thought about throughout your career, especially when you started. You probably unconsciously was aware of it, but your dad was a bit of a legend, Brynmore Williams. You know, scrum half as well, played for Wales. And you had a brother, obviously, that was younger than you, but played professional as well. But did you ever feel the pressure of dad on you growing up?
Yeah, I did, I think. You'd always... Yeah, looking back, I don't know why I felt that pressure I did, but I knew dad had played. I wasn't really, until I was a bit older, I wasn't aware of what he'd done. But I guess when you start playing in rugby teams... club rugby, you get a bit older and people hear that dad has played a bit. I think I felt like, there's a bit of an expectation here.
Yeah.
Dad wouldn't have known what it's like to feel that. So when I say, you don't know what it's like, he said, no, I played, but he didn't have that pressure. Yeah. But I guess there was a pressure I probably put myself to try and emulate what he did. And I wanted the same, really.
You, I knew your brother before I met you, Tom. I met him in college, and I wasn't in the rugby college, but he was doing that aspect, and knew him then. And he was always an athlete as well, like fit. And I suppose like both of you have that like in you. I'd say you're like you're not going to die in the arse. You're fast, but you're like an 80-minute game player. You know what I mean? You're an endurance type. I've always thought about you too, even though you are sharp. But it's amazing to see that like literally the family have made it professionally. That alone is rare.
It's amazing. Really. Never thought we'd. We always wanted to, but never probably thought it was a chance. But the fact that we both did it is something great for us as brothers because we set out to do it. But great for our family as well because they give them a lot of joy over the years coming to watch us. A lot of stress, but a lot of joy. And I think Tom is. We were both very late developers. I'd always. A lot smaller than a lot of the lads growing up. I didn't really develop until I was like 15, 16 physically. Tom was the same, even later than I was. So I guess what we did a lot of other sports as well. I did a lot of athletics. Tom did a lot of 400-metre running. Played a lot of racket sports, football, everything, surfing. So I think that gave us a good grounding from an athletic point of view. And when you get a bit older, we grew into ourselves a bit and learned more about weight training. I think that really gave us a good foundation for not just rugby, but just like you said, athletically. That may have helped us. Tom was a lot more fast touch than I was, and he's a lot more naturally talented than I am.
You reckon?
Yeah. Tom could not pick up a racket for 6 months, and I'd have been practicing for months and months, and he'd beat me, or like, or he'd run me close. And the same with rugby, Tom. Like he understood the game. From an attacking sense. Tom, I was in a scrum half, so like a lot of what 9 does can sometimes be quite closed, skilly. So Tom was naturally better at that stuff than I was, which was good because I was always practicing with him.
Yeah,
it was. We're both different.
Britain's saying that though, Lloyd. Like you got put on the wing in that Welsh game, which I want to bring up later. But like you were quite versatile because you had speed as well. Maybe you said maybe not like Tom, but you definitely had some speed about you, and you were versatile that way. You had a great kicking game. Were you left-footed?
Yeah, left-footed. Yeah, I'm left-footed. It was something we were chatting about earlier. Johnny Wilkinson. I remember he used to kick with his weak foot. Mate. So that was something I thought, right, I'm going to do that. So I worked like tirelessly trying to perfect my other foot, which definitely hasn't been perfected. But it's got me out of a lot of trouble throughout my career, being able to kick off both. And I remember Dad would say, like, if you're a professional, you've got no excuse not to be able to do that because you've got enough time. You should be fine off both. I thought, oh God, probably should get practicing this, and I did. I'm grateful. I did. I could kick off both, but in that game, I was fortunate enough to be able to put that kick through.
Yeah, I will talk about it later, but like I've got a few things to touch on today. I don't normally have a bit of a list. I'm normally just like off the top, but there's in particular things I remember. Whenever I think about you, I do think about that kick that you put in against England was like one of the most memorable things I remember. It was 2015 World Cup. But I always think, like, you were at Cardiff for so long and now you're at Worcester. Was it hard to leave Cardiff?
Yeah, it was hard. It was. I'd been there for a long time and I had a lot of brilliant relationships, and I loved the club. I supported the club, and I used to just go there, and we were chatting earlier, Tom and I would say, we're going to play for these one day. Really? So to get to the point where I left, it was really tough, but I was, the reason I kind of left, which I don't speak about it a lot, but the club was going through a major transition. I think it was 18 of us leaving, and going to leave, and I'd been through a few of those transitions within the club, a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and it was on the brink of another one of them, and I just thought it's time for a change. So that's why I actioned that, and it was really tough though, because like I said, I love the place, still support Cardiff now, and I consider myself a Cardiff boy. Yeah, definitely.
But when you say transitions, like, just for the listeners, what do you when you say there's been a few of them? Is that like trying to save budget, trying to save cost, what does that mean?
Yeah, I guess it is cost. There's you're having someone who owns the team, which Cardiff did at the time, and Peter, and he was fantastic for the club. And I guess people who own sports teams go through a time where they want to invest, and they have that taste of success, and they'd like to put more investment into the team to try and get some success. And then I guess there'd be some years where they want to consolidate or they want to pull back, and that would happen a lot. That happens a lot in sport, but it happened at Cardiff a few times. And I think when I first got there, you had the likes of Paul Tito, Xavier Rush, Ben Blair, the list goes on. And then big clear out, start again, got to won the challenge final, happened again. So like I'd gone through quite a lot of, and the bad times make the good times great. But also I was 34, and I just thought I was really super conscious about what I wanted to do after rugby. And I was also talking to Ealing Trailfinders, which I don't mind saying, probably the wrong move for me. But at the time, I was talking to a club that was very ambitious, saying they're going to play in the Premiership. I was at a club which was saying we're pulling back. So where they were probably quite close, it felt like worlds apart. And I thought, ambition, finish on a high in the Premiership. Club's just maybe taking a step back to go too forward. So I thought, this is the right time for me. Things weren't as they seemed at Ealing, which is the way it goes sometimes. But great thing about rugby, still met some great people. Actually did what I said I wanted to do, which is get my foothold in stuff after rugby.
Nice.
Up in London. So, yeah, but looking back, I'm like, oh, yeah, I missed Cardiff. It was tough. I thought it'd be easier than it was, but it wasn't. I was like, I miss everything about that club.
Yeah, I want to ask you a few questions on that because everything just popped open into me. So the first one I want to ask you is, now when you were at a team like Cardiff, for how many years were you there?
From the academy, probably about 14 years.
14 years. Do you find it hard to stay motivated when like you're so a part of the furniture at stages?
I didn't because I really wanted to play for Wales.
Yeah.
So, and although I was very fortunate to play for the club I wanted to play for, and I was like, I know everyone doesn't get that opportunity, but I wanted to play for Cardiff. They were my team, the team I supported. But also it was my gateway to play for Wales. And because I was always, I had spells in the Welsh squad, I had spells where I was out of it and in it again. So I guess like the carrot was always there, and being kind of sometimes very much in the thick of it, out of it, it was always like it's within reach. So that gave me my motivation. I also felt a lot of friends, family who supported the club, and always felt like a big responsibility for that, to try and do well from that side of things. So I never really did.
That's good to hear though, because you hear with so many players that they've been there for so long that it can for some people it's hard to stay motivated. I suppose though you kind of answer the question because the goal was never Cardiff, goal was always Wales, so you're always pushing to that position. And to be fair, like your whole career, there's been some scrum halves in your position as well that probably you always had to be on your game.
Yeah, and just going back to Cardiff, also that I felt really valued there. Yeah,
good.
Which I think is a big thing for a player.
That's rare these days for some players, man.
It is.
There's so many players that don't feel valued, and it shows in their performance.
I think it's so important. Any, not just rugby, any line of work. Yeah. If you've got someone who you feel cares for you, I think like it just makes and I very lucky that I had that at Cardiff, and I didn't want to under-deliver. Sometimes I did because that's rugby. That's just but not through lack of trying. But yeah, going back to that question, at the time I probably cursed. I was like, you'd curse it, but it was the best thing for me growing up. I think I was in like a period. There was a glut of like brilliant scrum halves around. From like when I was 15 right up to by the time I left Cardiff. Yeah, some brilliant nines, and which. Like Reece Webb, Gareth Davis, even Thomas then came through. Yeah,
I was going to say he was under you for a while.
Yeah, Tommy came through. I remember his first session. Like you always check out the academy boys who come in, and remember like taking a double look. Like he looks good. Yeah. How old is he? So, but that was a bit of another. Going back to your last question, I was probably like 27, 28, and Tommy's starting to like break through. That's brilliant for me because I had to try and like up my game. Also like looking at how he played the game. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy watching how other nines see. Can I take a little bit from there? And the nines around at that time, they're all really good runners. Yeah, I'm not forgetting like Philsy was playing as well at the time. Yeah. I was never going to be 6'4", though, so I couldn't get better at that. But so there was always like that part of the game. I was always like really conscious of it because I knew that's what you can learn the basics and you can get as good as you can with them. But those parts of their games were like really good and something for me to strive for.
I just always used to like watching the way you played. I loved your kicking game, and I actually loved how quick you were from the breakdown, and you'd always be trying to find a little breakthrough. You've captained Cardiff a few times as well. Was that something natural to you or something that you had to work on?
Something I worked on. I wouldn't say I'm like a natural, someone who, even teams growing up, I wasn't someone who'd get up and speak confidently in front of the group when I started. But I did learn that it's not just that's actually a requirement of a scrum half. Yeah, you can't just. I remember like 2 years in, like 22, a few of the older lads like we actually need you to lead. It's not optional. So it was something that I was forced into and became more confident the more I played at that level, the more confident, competent I became. But I think captaincy is a really tough one because you've got your own performance, but you've got to gauge how like the team are going as well, and like how people are feeling. And I probably started playing in a time where it was like if you made a mistake, it was a bollocking. Which I probably learned. That was how I started doing it, and learned very, very quickly that that's actually not how I'm going to get the best out of individuals. And it's funny, like when I first started playing, Gethin Jenkins, he'd bollock me all the time. But then I actually craved that by the end. Yeah. I actually wanted it, and but I know things that's not necessarily the right way for everyone. I know I liked it.
Yeah, I think I liked it as well because I kind of knew if he's not yapping at me, he probably don't respect me. Like it's kind of like he gives a fuck mentality. If he's on my case, he knows I can do better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, big time. Like I almost want him on my case because he knows that I've got a bit more in me. But I love that. Like I said, I craved it by the end. Got me on for games, but there's kind of horses for courses. Yeah. I did understand that a lot of people also need like just trying to be super like solution based. It's quite easy to be reactional, talk about the last thing, but that's probably something I grew into.
So what you say now that you'd be more solution based and like impulsive, be like effing and blinding at someone, or a bit of both.
Yeah, like, I think effort is something you could always demand because I think it should be a given, but I think people drop the ball, people make the wrong decisions. Like that is going to happen, and if you're in the game, that's going to. If you're not okay with that stuff, sport's not for you. Yeah. So like but I do think there's a time and place for it, and you need a reaction sometimes, and
Well, I agree with you. I think efforts, like get into the breakdown or like ball watching. You should be jogging to things and moving on. I think they're non-negotiables. Like they're things you can literally. It's on you to do those, isn't it? Like you just said, drop balls is something that sometimes you can't control. That just happens. Maybe poor conditions or I don't know, whatever. But efforts like getting up, moving, talking, running, getting to things quicker with a bit of urgency. I think they're like effort based, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are effort based. Like when I listen to commentary and they talk about the effort stuff, great that we're rewarding it, but I'm like, that is at that level. If you're not trying for your international country, something wrong there. So like, still invaluable. Yeah,
I feel like when Roy Keane says like what a goalkeeper does, he goes, "That's his job.
That's his job.
That's his job."
The flankers aren't going to enjoy this, but I've got a lot of friends who are flankers. When they get like man of the match for making 20 tackles, I'm like, that's their job. Like, let me get a man of the match for passing to the 10 accurately all game. But I'm going to have Ellis Jenkins on the phone later. How dare you? No.
It's good. And now I want to ask you as well, obviously, about that in 2018, the Challenge Cup against Gloucester. As far as I remember, you come back to 31-30. Is that right?
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was brilliant. Yeah. Best club experience I've had. And doing something with like a group that you're with, you're spending the majority of your time with on a daily basis. Doing something with them was special, and there was an air of confidence in us towards the end of that season. Sean Edwards came in November, and I think fair to say he turned us around. We were on a 6-game losing streak to start that season, so it set ourselves up for failure. But we turned things around, and we had a brilliant tail end of that season. The course of games we went through, the way we were playing, we kind of just found our identity quite quickly. Sean gave us a lot of... he gave us clear instruction with how he wanted us to defend, made us fitter, and we were able to deliver it. And I think we went in half-time down maybe 12, 15 points. I think we were 15 points down at Gloucester. Yeah. But really calm half-time. The calmest I've been involved in probably is, like we spoke earlier, real solution-based is what we're going to do. But quite clear as well, we're going to need a score soon. Yeah. Like, it has to happen. Like, someone's got to step up, and that happened. Thomas got us a try like really early on, and then although we took it to the very end, it felt like we're going to win the game. Yeah. Which is, as a player, you know that feeling. It's hard to describe it, and you can't always see it, but we we felt it that day, and that was a brilliant for the club, for us as lads, and for the club and supporters, because it'd been a while since we won something.
I remember speaking to Brad Thayer about it, because he was a part of the squad.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, and he said it's probably one of his best moments, playing in that, being a part of that team and that environment. And
yeah, the squad as well. Like we had like a really good squad. Like everyone had played their part throughout the season, and we had lads who were really like the unsung hero that day. It was like Garen Smith won as a penalty. Yeah. It just goes to show, like, Garden played like a load of rugby, but he had like a massive moment for us that got us shot for Gareth Anscombe to kick the winning kick. So it was like a real proper squad effort. Like some teams same 15 every week. Yeah. It changed a lot, and I think that's why it felt so special.
What do you think then? Like, and I don't want to go into the cliche, but what do you think, Lloyd, like, builds a great team? Like, not individual superstars and buying top players, but I mean just building a solid ethos in a club and getting everyone to buy in.
A bit. I feel like everyone needs to feel like I mentioned earlier. The best ones I've been involved is when everyone feels quite valued within the place, and everyone cares, not just you as a player, but like you start out as colleagues, but I think the teams that become like friends and the connections get deeper, I think they're the ones where you see stronger results on the field. I really do think that. I think you obviously got shooting stars like Toulon, back in the day, where they kind of like almost like a firework. Great players, they'd win, and then the players would leave. But I think the clubs where you've got these connections that have been growing, and that's what we had that year. We had a lot of players who've been playing together for a long time, good players as well. I think everyone feeling like they're playing a part of it, and everyone pulling in the same direction. Yeah. I really think everything's quite infectious. So it's like if you've got someone a bit of a negative influence, and there may be different reasons for that. Like some people have their reasons; they don't feel they've been fairly treated. But I think if one person like that is, unfortunately, and the majority of some people who haven't been involved in sport, the majority of the squad aren't playing. Yeah. And so if you can keep those happy, I really think if you can keep those lads happy, the ones on the weekend are happy, they're playing. So almost you need to work with them. I think the boys who aren't, they're the ones you need to keep feeling like they've got a big part to play, because they have. Yeah. And in giving them something to get after, whether that's you're playing in a couple of weeks or can we have your opinion. I think that's a big thing. Asking people want to be heard sometimes. And some of the players who aren't playing, they've got invaluable information that we could do with to play, and tapping into that is really important. In my opinion, so I think, I know we've covered a lot, but I think like the more that everyone feels a part of it, everyone feels like they're pulling in the same direction and wanted and valued. I think that's a good recipe for a step in the right direction.
I love that, Lloyd. I love that. And valued is a powerful word, I think. And if you do, like you just said, get people to buy in, it's unbelievable because they see the bigger picture. I think, and then if you can make someone feel valued and then make them aware that like their piece of the puzzle is it's so important to, even if they're on the bench or not in the squad, like you're part of that trophy or whatever it is, so it's really interesting. I think it's always good to have a couple of characters in your team as well. You need them, especially if it's a long season, and I'm sure there was plenty at Cardiff. Anyone you want to name drop, mate?
No, they were. No, there was. I was with Lou Reed and Bradley Davis, who fantastic characters we had, and they would like brighten up the room. Lewis Jones was
Lewis is great.
Another good scrum half.
Don't shut up, does he?
He doesn't, but it's something that you can. It gets under people's skin. He was great. I couldn't. If I tried to be like that, it wouldn't have worked. He was just naturally quick witted and really good 9 too. I learned a lot from Lou. He's brilliant at like you said earlier, getting in and out of the rucks. For me, because I'm a bit taller, that stuff I need to improve. But we had Bradley and Lou, fantastic crack. I remember playing Leinster, and we were at Leinster on a massive screen, and we came out on the field early, and we were on the field early, and we're all in like a huddle. I think Warby's giving us a rev up. And I can just hear Lou saying, Brad. He's like, what? We're sort of chatting all the game. Brad. He'd be like, what? He'd like, they're coming. You could see them like walking out of the screens. They're massive. I was like, oh my God, we'll play the European champs. I got Lou and Brad like laughing about, or like shitting themselves about the Leinster team coming out. But it was a big difference when I went to Ealing. I think I was like one of two who hadn't been to a private school.
Wow.
Yeah, so like Cardiff, very different. I won't name his name because he's still playing. I remember one of the front row lads from the Valleys getting off the bench, like just racked like 160k, boom, like came up, like poked his chest. Me, what can you do? Looked me in the eye, went, I can read. But it was great because in Wales, like, you have such a different like span of players, and it's a working class sport, which is so good. It gives you so much variety, and it's great fun.
So when you say like private school people, because I knew when I was in Australia, all the union boys were private school, 90% were, and all the league boys were mainly public school, and so it was a total different ethos, to be honest. From if I could ever go watch brothers play in Brisbane, you'd look at them, they're all, you know, in blazers and all kitted out, and then you go to the union and they're all drinking beers and chucking abuse of you from the sideline, and it's just it's a total different, you know, I suppose, aspect to it. So you know, like, because you do need the, like, I'm not saying private school aren't funny, but like you do need a bit of like salt of the earth type of people as well, if that's the kind of way I could say without upsetting anyone.
No, you're right, like variety, isn't it? I became really close with like some great people, great lads who I met in England, and it's really interesting to hear their story as well, because it's different. Like explaining them about going up to play, you know, bather or something like that. They don't quite understand the emotion that's involved, because I found that different. I found like when I was playing at Cardiff in Wales, like emotion was a huge thing we could tap into quite naturally. Like we could tap into it, and it would, I don't know, it came quite naturally to us to like lean into that stuff. Whereas I felt like, and this I don't want to generalise, but my experiences in the England's club were quite instructional and following the plan, which can be really successful teams operate like that too. But I found like emotion wasn't quite the same. We'd have a really big game after a loss. I thought, well, we'll be on it this week, and we weren't. Whereas I knew that if we had a rope-wheel performance for Cardiff or for Wales, but I knew the next week there was gonna be a reaction. It was like a non-negotiable. Whereas I found it that a bit different over in England.
You mentioned as well, Lloyd, like feeling valued. Who was it? In particular, coach or assistant coach or boardroom that kind of made you feel valued and buying in more? Even that, because you're gonna have tough times in any club. So I think it's always good to have the good times, and it's when you're playing amazing, confidence is high. But like that person who just was always there.
Yeah, and that's not went with value as well. It's not always someone who's like nice to you. Like I said, we used him earlier, Sean Edwards. He had like a really hard edge, like real sharp edge. He had a real soft edge too, and I think that's important. Like someone valued could be someone telling you exactly what you need to do to get better, or exactly why, showing that they care. Yeah. You know, I guess like someone like Sean was brilliant at that. He would give you direct feedback, quite at the time as well. Like some you may have experienced it in different lines of work, but something would happen on Saturday. You wouldn't. They need 2 or 3 days to look at the tape over and over and over. They tell you what you did wrong. Monday, it's like, actually, if you told me that at half time, I could have changed it and we could have won the game. So I actually thought that's what someone like Sean was good at. You got Matt Sherratt now, who's at Wales. He was good at that. Had some massive barneys with him, but like for the right reasons, because we both cared. And I think that you need that sometimes healthy debate. Like, you need those conversations. I think they bring from them. You get an answer. Yeah,
you get a result. Like you're accountable to someone.
Yeah,
I think you got to be accountable to someone. And if you, and they, like, you, again, you've just discussed about feeling valued. Valued isn't always about someone cuddling you. Someone valued is actually someone going, hey, look, I know how good you are. I don't see that right now in you. What I see you slipping is X, Y, and Z. You're aware of it now, and we can put an action to that. Let's focus on that this week. Something like that, and you're like, oh shit, man, he cares. And then the result is you do it, and you get, you know.
That's the valuation. Then you're like, God, that's what that's what a lot of athletes need, and any.
I think some athletes. So I'm talking from my own experience as well, especially when I was in my early 20s. You get like bullshit come at you, and that's what I couldn't probably tolerate. I don't know if you experienced it when you were younger, or coaches would tell you what you wanted to hear, and you're like, mate. And then it'd come to like, you know, playing or saying what they were going to do, and they didn't do it. You probably get. I was never as good as you, so I'm probably on the other end of the spectrum where it goes, you're fighting every week to get in, or fighting for a contract, or overcoming injuries all the time. But I always felt that, like rather just give it to me straight. I valued that way more.
Yeah, and at the time it hurts, because it does, but it's much better than a slow no. Like you can take a bit of short-term pain for like a long-term gain, and sometimes it's like a slow death. You're going in there every week asking why, and you're actually getting. And I couldn't stand. I don't know about you. I can't stand it when a coach says it's a gut feeling. So I'm like, it's not. There's something.
It's more to this, mate.
And a lot of people get it, and it's still happening now. Like, it's a gut feeling we went with. Well, the good coaches don't, but I think it's a really easy out.
Yeah, it's a cop out.
It's a gut. No, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Like, and just tell me it, because if it's like someone like Mike, when I was on the bench to Mike, if you said like, well, he's 6'5", I got to accept that. I'm never going to be 6'5". So, but yeah, I'm not saying that happened then, but it's just.
If they went, I'm going for size for this game or something.
I understand that's what I can't do.
I can't put on another 30 kilos. But
is there anything I can do to like compete with that size, and then you can get after that? Whereas sometimes it's you walk away thinking, oh, I'm not big enough. I'm not. There's other ways. There's other ways to be effective.
I think the hardest thing is in such an alpha sport is how do I remove my ego out of this, not take it personally, and take it as. What like the thing you said at the end, okay, what can I do though? I can't be 30 kilos heavier. However, what's something I can focus on now that can push me in that direction of getting it? Because like you said, you had some caliber of nines around you that stage. And mate, like I take credit to you that, like, I was looking earlier at when you had your first cap, like you had a 4-year layoff as well for a bit. And you still were showing up for Cardiff. And then you got another opportunity in 2000. Was that when 2015 came, or was that after?
So I was out for a year before 2015. That was probably my favourite year, 2014. Yeah. So I'd been left out of the squad, but it's the best I felt like I'd ever played. I felt like I was just really at ease emotionally about everything, and I thought, like, I'm just going to enjoy my rugby at Cardiff. Great group of players there at the time. Great support network, and I played some of my best stuff. I was like, when I got back in 2015, because 2011 was great, and I had some great part of some unbelievable experiences and matches. But it was a bit of a shock. Yeah, it came from nowhere. Whereas 2015, when I got back in the squad, I felt ready. Like I felt like, because I felt in 2011 a bit of imposter syndrome. Yeah. Start, like, oh God. Big names, like I haven't done loads on the regional park yet, but I had a few glimpses. But whereas by 2015, things had like become a bit more established and a bit more comfortable at that level, and so that was like a big couple of years for me, and ended up really enjoying that camp and World Cup more, because I felt like I deserved to be here.
Yeah. Is that 2015 World Cup?
Yeah.
So that was, I want to talk about then, because was that the last game? What game was that against England? Was that?
That was the penultimate group stage. Yeah, so I think it was, we had Uruguay first. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Uruguay, England, Fiji, Australia. Yeah. I know Fiji was after England. Sorry, so it was the second group game. It would have, I guess it was make or break for us at that stage.
Yeah. That game, man, that was probably one of my favourite games to watch. And I just remember you going down the sideline, and it was probably like something that just instinctively, like, it's do or die, this option, and and he just kicked a sweet kick inwards. And it was it Davis, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Gareth picked it up, and he was always pretty good at following through. He was like support king.
Yeah, brilliant at that, yeah.
And mate, I remember that. Like, I bet you felt on cloud 9 after that.
Yeah, it was all happened so quickly. I was like, what were you thinking? Some like parents, because I did a bit of coaching sometimes with like individuals. Now, what were you thinking that kick at that time? How did you? I was like, well, it's not thinking.
It's not thinking.
It's pure instinct. Which I think, act best on that. But I remember that game quite vividly looking back, because came on. There was like a glut of injuries at the same time, and I used to live with Kathy. Well, I used to go to uni with Kathy, so I said, where shall I go? I didn't know where I was going. Like when I came on, and because the game before I came on the right wing against Uruguay, because Corey Allen got injured. I was going on at 9. But anyway, that happened, and Cole was like, Kath said, "Oh, just jump on the left. You're a lefty." As if like I'm going to start whipping balls in like 5-a-side soccer. So I've gone on the left, and lo and behold, I did put a kick through my left.
Yeah, man, I loved it. Absolutely loved it, and credit to you. I think you got better, like as your career went on internationally as well. Like, when did you have your last game for Wales?
It was the last Six Nations title against Italy under Wayne Pivac.
Yeah,
2021.
And I thought you were still playing well to warrant another crack at Wales. Like, I personally thought.
That's good of you to say. It was like there was some great 9s as well. I'll tell you, Kieran Hardy's coming onto the scene hard, and Thomas is doing his thing. He still is doing his thing, and so I was in good company, which was probably really good for my game. I enjoyed that period. I guess as you get older, because when I first started playing, the game was also transitioning a bit, like the way it was structured. And I think I was just like hoping for a break. Hope I can have a crack here. Whereas like you get a bit older, you understand what can help those things happen more often, or what can help influence a good game for me. I was just kind of like, I hope I have a good game. Whereas the older I got, I guess, the more I realised if I do the right prep for the right things, those opportunities will happen. Like,
would you say you're quite methodical in your pre-match and what you do now as a player beforehand?
Yeah, I'm.
Have you always been like
trying
that?
to be quite diligent in getting myself in the right place. I'm not a massive fan of watching loads of rugby before. No. Like some players like doing that. Because I know if I do, I have done it before for periods of time, it'll take away my instinct a bit. And for me to play well, I need to do that. I don't like overthinking too much. So, but I'm big on getting a certain amount of kicks in a week. Nice. I like working a lot on my passing, even though I've done it since I was 8. I need to be feeling really strong, like my core, and I like working on that side of things, because that's my game. So I need to always think that the winger, I'm like, winger should do speed because he runs fast. Yeah, I'm like, I got to practice my kicking and passing.
100%, man. I agree with you, and I think it's good to hear. I think one thing you said as well was like, you said you had a good relationship with Lewis, the other 9s, and you said you took away stuff learning from then. I think it's so big to keep asking questions regardless, or whenever you are in your stage, because you're competitive with each other as well. You're fighting for that position, but at the same time you want to build a bond, and you can actually help each other if you again pull the ego aside and be like, oh, this guy's a nice bloke outside of rugby, you know what I mean? And but I think like if people were listening now to this who are coming through and they could hear you, I suppose, what things would you ask? What things would you tell them to do? I suppose, like, or how to improve, or.
Well, I'd be really specific in what they're working on. Like I'd say that's a big thing for any player. I think growing up, I started questioning things. I was probably a bit, when I got to about 22, like, why am I doing the same weights as a prop? Yeah. Why am I doing the same weights as a winger? Or why scrum half, for example, very, very lateral. I do a lot of lateral movement, a lot of rotational athletes, because we're passing. And so working on that stuff, like from a physical point of view, but I think it's really important to be yourself. Don't try and be someone else. Like, what's a good? What do you look like as a player? And then how can you incorporate different things? Like I watched other 9s. Like if I watched someone like Gad Davis, for example, he could make breaks from nothing. I'm probably not going to be able to do that. So I need to look at like different opportunities which could help my running game. Probably better when there's more people around me where I can probably like shift some attention away from me to go through.
Yeah.
Whereas some players are like so explosive, they actually don't need that. They can create something themselves. But someone like Lewis, I thought he was very quick at getting in and out.
Yeah.
Like entry, exit, some people, different lingo for everything. But yeah, so that was good for me. Like, how does he do that? What does he do with his feet? Chop his feet? Like, accelerate after? Like, Tommy was so instinctive. He was brilliant. Like, he could see something, he'd act on it.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's great. Like, I can try and do that. Like, I can try and be a bit better at that. I think what you said earlier, just always like asking yourself questions like, oh, can I get a bit better this week? Or can I improve that part of my game? And I hear a lot of people saying, like, make your strength your super strength. But I think that's great, and you've got time to do that. But if that's happening, your weakness is getting really weak.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're leaving yourself really exposed. So I think bring the bottom up.
Yeah.
Bring the bottom up. And because if you're strong at something, you'll always get better. You'll do it more. But I think if you can bring the bottom up a bit, for me, that helped me in my game a lot. Once I knew, like, if I could run and I could challenge the defensive line, everything else was okay, because worked a lot of my skills as the nines do, but I knew if I could add that element to my game, it could really help our team.
Yeah. It's so true. Like, everything you've just said then, and you said something about Thomas. I was thinking, like, he said he'll instinctively do something and you don't think about it. I think sometimes we put so much emphasis on, like, what were you thinking then? What were you thinking then? Like what you said about that kick. You said I wasn't thinking. You were just like, it was on, let's do it. I think if we give so much time between the doing and the thinking, it builds uncertainty. Yeah. There's less chance of doing it. And I think, like, some people play in so much fear, it probably stops them playing to what they could be potentially wise, because they're always thinking, shit, if I make a mistake now, I might not be selected for next week, or I'm looking at the sideline, he's warming up on the sideline, I fucking did a bad pass then. Make psychologically the aspect of that. I think you just, and like, this is just like speaking to you and listening to you as well. I think it's just like, you try it and see what happens. If it fucks up, okay, what was it, the execution, or was it like a wrong situation to do it? Yeah. And then, I don't know, like, I just think the best players in the world don't think too much.
No, I think I look at DuPont now and people say, oh, how can I do that? Like, you're never going to be able to, you're not going to be able to throw, like, flankers off you.
Yeah,
like,
he's a freak, isn't he?
Yeah, but tell you what, he is good. He is good at, like, acting what he sees in front of him. I think there's, like, all the nines in front. I like that. I think because the game revolves around them instead of, especially here, everything comes off 10. Yeah. I think they're making, like, a lot of decisions from a very young age, which make them, like, brilliant decision makers. Whereas you watch some scrum, if we're getting right into the nines thing, you watch some nines, they'll get to the ruck and pass it, for 80 minutes. They haven't made a decision. Yeah. Brilliant pass. And they've done the basics. Like, I've been involved in games where I've done that. I come away, but I don't do anything today. I just facilitated. And I think, the French nines are so good at, like, acting with what they see in front of them.
Do you see, one thing I've noticed with Dupont as well is, like, he saves so much energy. Watch him from breakdown to breakdown when it's close. He's near enough walking. He walks a lot, he's scanning, and he'll just, like, it's like low energy tasks, if you, like, really break him down. He's just thinking, but his body's he's moving slow, but he's so smooth. I don't know if you notice that as well.
Yeah, he's very, like, pulses around, doesn't he? And then you kind of, like, approach a ruck, like, really slow. Yeah. And then defence will probably come to expect that speed. Yeah. And he'll like pick the speed up. I think he's got a lot of aspects of the game that people could copy. But there are obviously some aspects that are very tough to ever replicate. It's
a freak, innit? It's like Michael Jordan of basketball. Like, he makes things look easy as well, which I would definitely look extremely hard at. But I honestly, man, I really enjoyed watching your career. And you're still playing now, so I'm not trying to say it as if you're out. I'm talking about, your Cardiff days and Wales days. I really enjoyed watching you play, man. It was an enjoyable time, and I think you've done a credit to you. I'm so happy to hear that you're the most capped Blues player as well.
For now, yeah. Maybe broken one day, but yeah.
Well, let's not hope it's anytime soon anyway, man. I want to ask you as well, like, would you ever get into coaching yourself? I know your brother has.
Tom has. Yeah. Growing up, Tom would happily sit in front of the TV and watch every game that happened on Saturday. Whereas I wanted to be out. Like I'd rather go. Tom was the same. He could watch rugby, and I always found that like if I watch whatever I watch tennis. I want to play tennis. I want to go and do it. Like, and so I
like paddle.
Yeah, watch paddle. I go and play it. I can. And so Tom was always very analytical about the game. So going back to the question, I really, really enjoy working on a one-to-one or small groups on like breaking down the skill or different elements of the game and working on that stuff. I think like for me as a player, just if I put the shoe on the other foot, I loved that. I got loads from it. Whereas like sometimes as a team, you can work all week on like the shape or a kicking strategy, but no one can catch the ball. So it's like, whereas I think if I put if you teach everyone to catch, everyone's going to be, you can be able to have a game then. Whereas I think if you learn like the shape and get too restricted with that stuff, I think it takes away like the individual side of things, and there's a need for both. Yeah. But that's the stuff I really enjoyed being coached and enjoy coaching, and I got a lot out of it. So I would love to do that stuff. Yeah. But the team coach, no. I've seen what my brother went through. I've seen what other coaches. A brilliant coach at Worcester now, Matt Everard, and he does it right. They've got a great team, and coaching in that environment would be brilliant. But those opportunities are few and far between, and they do a lot. Coaches work long hours. They watch a lot of rugby, and a lot of it's out of their control on game day, which must be quite tough given the work they put in. It must be seriously rewarding when things come off, but it must be it's a tough job. Yeah, really tough job.
I think you've got to be wired a certain way to do it, and you must have a high tolerance as well. Like you're dealing with players, staff, a board above as well. Videos of the team you play next week. You know, like
that's what I struggle with, like watching loads of rugby. They watch so much.
It drains you as well, right? Like mentally drains you, and you've got to play a game then, or if you're not coaching, I mean.
Yeah, I'm a bit like paralysis by analysis. I will like, oh God, I'm looking for this, and you never find it in the game. It's like, so you've got to be. You're right. You've got to be wired that way.
I think so, definitely. How is it at Worcester anyway? I know you said you went to Ealing for a bit, and I spoke to Brad about it because Brad was there, but Brad was injured the whole time. Brad Thayer. Yeah, and he found it incredibly hard, obviously because he couldn't play away from home, which was Cardiff. That's all he knew for the period before that. But like he said, it is different, isn't it? Yeah,
I didn't particularly enjoy my time at Ealing. It was a different club than what I was used to. Somewhere like Cardiff, which was had a lot of emotional connection with it, a lot of history that they tap into, a lot of a brilliant fan base. And Ealing was a little transactional, and I was really open about this when I was there. I felt like it was a bit like that. I felt it was come in, do your job, go home.
Get out.
That's not. I guess I realised a lot when I got there. Like it's not. I love playing the game, but I love the other stuff around it. And it wasn't that much. It wasn't that stuff for the club. I think you want to feel part of something that's always striving to win. But things were very, very, very easy at Ealing. They had I guess you could call it an unlimited budget, really. Yeah. And we had a massive squad.
And they didn't want to get promoted either, did they? Because of the setup.
Well, they said they did.
Right.
I guess but actions speak louder than words a bit, and I think the actions were different to what we were told. So that leaves players a bit frustrated. I think if they're really honest, going back to what you said, if they're really honest, like great, but it wasn't as it seemed. So that did make it tough. Yeah. I think from where I'd come from, it like exaggerated that. But still, going back to it, the one thing I did get is I made some great relationships there. I learned a lot about myself because I had to, and I always good to come out of maybe a bad situation.
You learn a lot as well about yourself, right? Like it probably makes you more grateful for what you had more with Cardiff as well then, right? So
yeah, it did. But an experience, but nonetheless, and I guess I was probably ready to finish playing after Ealing. Then the opportunity at Worcester came along, and I met Matt Everard, was a great bloke and a great coach, and I thought, oh, this would be really exciting to be a part of something like this. Club coming back from 4 years away from it, brilliant fan base, amazing facility, and great people involved. I thought, oh, this would be a great way to finish playing, a great experience to be a part of. And it was like we played Bath in a pre-season game, first game they had in 4 years. It was in my top 5 moments of my rugby career. It was fantastic, like sell out, play like a full hit Bath side.
Wow.
Winning half time. Then they had a really strong bench, and what they're doing in the Prem now kind of ran away from everyone, ran away from us in the last 15, 20 minutes. But an unbelievable experience. And this season, it's been so good to be a part of. Whatever standard or wherever it is, I think everyone you want to feel part we're getting a bit better.
100%.
We're on that journey, and we're definitely on that. It's I'm loving it.
Good, man. It's good to see you still enjoying it, man. Especially, not as young as you were, but you're still fresh. But I mean, I want to ask you as well, because obviously I'm mindful of time. The English Premiership is it's gone so much better now, isn't it? The standard. Do you think the league you're in now could compete with the Ospreys, the Cardiffs, the Scarlets, and the Dragons?
I think our best. I mean, Ealing, we played Cardiff, we beat Cardiff. We played Bath, beat Bath. So I think the top 3 or 4 sides in the champ could compete. I'm not sure consistently could beat them, because I think our best 23 could compete with a regional XV, but I think the squads are better, bigger, stronger in Wales, and there's some great players in Worcester. There's some great players in Wales as well. I think it'd be if we were part of that, it'd be really tough. But a squad like a team like Worcester, or a business where they're trying to recruit better squads to be able to do that, I probably won't be there then. I think that's fair to say, but I don't think it's if. I think when Worcester are in the Premiership, I think that'll happen. Yeah, I'm just not sure how soon.
Well, man, look, I absolutely appreciate this. It's been awesome having you on. Like I said, I'm mindful of time, but it's great to have someone like yourself on here, man, be so transparent and just honest about your journey. You're very humble and down-to-earth person, which I think is refreshing to you. And if anyone, even from a youngster age or an older age, just can hear any form of this, like the way you speak about yourself, the way you're so honest about your experiences, I think they can take a lot away from this. So really appreciate that, and I'm grateful for you, man.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed listening to your podcast, so I'm, pleasure to be on it with you.
No worries. Mate, I always ask someone at the end, I'll ask my guests at the end, what are you grateful for?
I'm great. Yeah, great question. Grateful for relationships I've made through my sporting, through what I've been very fortunate enough to do. Also really grateful for my family. They've been like the absolute foundation of. Yeah, I love that. Not just as a rugby player, as a person as well. Which I think sometimes it's easy to look at players and think they're a rugby player, but people first. My family have been fantastic for that, so I'm super grateful for that.
Legend, man. I forgot to ask you. I got a couple of quick fire questions. All right,
let's go.
Cool, let's do this. Okay, hardest trainer?
Lee Halfpenny.
Worst trainer?
Worst trainer? I think that'll be... Ooh, Tuffy, wait there. Give me a second. Worst... There's plenty of them.
I know you're stuck on the main one.
Worst trainer? Yeah, I am. Worst trainer, sorry. I'd say Ray Lilo. Probably one of the best players.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, best coach?
Sean Edwards.
Nice. I asked this question, would you become a coach, but...
never say never.
Never say never. Who's fitter, you or Tom?
Me.
Hey man, thank you so much.
Cheers, Al.
Appreciate it, bud.
Thanks, mate.